Ryan Garcia has a fight lined up with Eastside Pitbull Cruz, and he says right now that that's a tougher fight than Haney. And you know what? I'm gonna actually agree with him. Let me tell you why. Because in this situation with Ryan Garcia going against Pitbull, he's actually going against a guy who didn't quit against Tank Davis. You know, Ryan Garcia was actually the one who faced Tank Davis and couldn't go 12 rounds. So in this case, and this might sound like might sound like an amateur breaking it down this way, but you know, people tend to forget. Ryan Garcia did quit against Tank Davis, and Pitbull Cruz went in there and went 12 rounds and gave Tank Davis what he said last year was his toughest fight. Then after the Haney and Ryan Garcia fight, he said Ryan Garcia was his toughest fight. But he's always said that Pitbull was his toughest fight, even when people were asking about rematches. Up until, I want to say, the Ryan Garcia Haney fight, they were asking about Pitbull after he fought Rolly. They said they wanted to see Pitbull and Tank fight again because Pitbull went 12 rounds with Tank and looked good. And I said, hey, that doesn't mean that Pitbull's just going to destroy everybody because he gave Tank a tough fight. But also, because I had used that example for Raya, but also, it's going to look different if Ryan Garcia goes in there and looks clean. I'm just telling you. Everybody that doesn't, that wants to deny it, you're going to look crazy. I've been watching boxing way too long. I've seen guys go in the ring and look like Superman. Then when they go in there and clean, they look like a regular boxer with no power. They might be fast. They might have the fastest hooks. They have no power, though. I've seen guys literally drop the PEDs and have no power recently. I could drop some names right now, but I don't want to do that. That would be unprofessional. But I've seen some fighters recently that have no power at a certain point when they're not using. And everybody's seen them. Everybody knows what type of fighters they are. We know who they are. We know what they've done in the past. We know how guys have been looking recently since they got with Turkey on the sheet. When they're not able to cut corners. A lot of guys still try to cut corners, but as we've seen, there was a lot of guys popping for PEDs recently before the Fury and Usyk fight. But for people to just forget that Pitbull really gave Tank his toughest fight up until the point with Ryan Garcia gave Tank his easiest fight. I feel like that was the easiest fight for Tank Davis. I think Tank Davis could have got Ryan up out of the first 2 rounds if he felt like it. He really carried him. As you know how Tank really fights, he really carried Ryan. And then the fact that he dropped him in the first 2 rounds, Tank was like, oh my God, I didn't even know I was going to drop this guy. So, the way the Pitbull style is, a real Mexican style, something like Duarte's was, and that Duarte situation was definitely odd too as well, allegedly. So, you know, Pitbull's going to go into this situation really watching everything. He says, you know, if everything is basically fair on both ends, you know, he should come out with a victory, I think. I think Pitbull will pull it off as long as everything's fair across the board. Now, if it's not, and then guys are out there just doing whatever, then that definitely the results are going to change. But I think in this situation, Pitbull going to come prepared, and he's not going to let a guy like Ryan come in there and try to dominate him. But that's not easy to say. You know, definitely not easy to say. Pitbull is not an easy target. But Ryan's not either, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, reputation definitely has taken a hit in my book because I know what time it is. And when he's done everything he's done last year, he basically crashed out without people acknowledging it. But that was a crash out. It really was. And for people to think that the PEDs and everything don't play a factor of everything that happened, He's gonna have to perform well like that every time. And it's just the one time when you perform at your best, you was at your worst. So we're gonna have to see. But I know what I'm leaning on. I know what I'm leaning towards. If Pitbull can get a chance to have a fair fight, people would have said, well, if it was Haney, people would have had excuses. I'm saying this for Pitbull. I don't care who the fighter is. If they going against a guy who's particularly not clean, you're not going to have a chance to beat anybody. But we're going to see in this situation. I think Ryan Garcia is going to have a huge challenge on his hand. And like I said before, Pitbull, I don't know what kind of pain threshold he has, but he was able to take those punches from Tank easy. And when Ryan was in there, he wasn't able to take them. So maybe a lot of things played a factor. People think that when you talk about PEDs and stuff, and the reason this is even a topic because people have been dragging it on, but you can take punches very well too, taking that stuff. That's what people don't realize. It has a numbing effect. You can take punches very easily. So the punches that he was taking in the last fight, and the same punches he was taking in the Tank fight, he was dropping. As soon as he got hit, boom. As soon as he got dropped. And then, people say, well, he had a rib injury in that fight and he was drained or whatever. Yeah, some of other boxers have went to fights with injuries and they felt drained. But, when the other guy's on something he's not supposed to, it's going to be hard for you to pull off that victory. That's why they have testing. Every advantage counts. But he says it's a tougher fight. It is a tougher fight if he goes in there clean. So at this point right now, if he's clean, it sounds like he's clean. Tougher fight. It will be. But we gotta see Pitbull get past Adrian Ferrero, and after that, we'll see. But that's all I got.